Mikhailo Vorobyov. He joins us live from Kiev. He's a Ukrainian journalist and a research scholar at Johns Hopkins University. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us
Thanks
on
for
the
having
program. Now, we heard from Zelenskyy yesterday speaking to the Italian parliament and saying that he is ready to give up NATO membership if Russia stops its assault on Ukraine. Do you think that would be enough for Russia to stop, or do you think that they would have to redefine borders and, let's say, give up the Donbass region?
Basically, first and foremost, it's not about NATO. So if you remember, in 2008, it was a Bucharest summit when Ukraine and Georgia, they were denied of membership action plan. And in the next 6 months, Russia attacked Georgia, even though it was even denied this first step to join the NATO. Basically, the war broke out not in 2000 on February 24th, but it started 8 years ago when Ukraine didn't have any program how to join the NATO. Russia attacked. It's not about the NATO though.
You've done some right. You've done extensive reporting from the Donbass region throughout your career. Are Russian claims of the abusive treatment of the people there baseless, do you think? What's the political climate like there compared to the rest of Ukraine?
So people remain under the occupation right now, and people from the Mariupol, it's also the Donbass region. It was also seized by Russian separatists back in 2014, and then liberated by Ukrainian forces. And this city is under the huge, in the horrible condition. I would compare it to the situation in Aleppo in Syria. So basically, Russians, they pursued to wipe out the city with its population. And many people from Mariupol, they are forcefully, including children, they are forcefully sent to the occupied territories of the Donbass. And the Russian propaganda tries to portray it as they are refugees and they are seeking asylum in Russia. In fact, they are forcefully sent to Russia. And, nobody knows there are even like some kind of concentration camp, but basically what means that Russian checks that all men, for example, if they have any relationships to the Ukrainian military or Ukrainian intelligence or some pro-Western force and so forth. So basically, the Russians now, they are behave like Nazi did during the Second World War. And also coming back to your question about if Zelenskyy can revoke NATO aspirations of Ukraine. So I just want to remind you that it was declared in the Ukrainian constitution and voted by Ukrainian parliament back in 2018. So 4 years ago, Ukrainian parliament declared its paths to NATO and the European Union. So if Zelenskyy even really wants to revoke it, he can't do it by himself anonymously. So basically, he needs the support of the parliament at this point. And I doubt he will find enough votes for now. And I doubt the Ukrainian society will support this decision to revoke the aspiration toward NATO and the EU. So basically, unlike Russia, Ukraine remains a democracy, and Zelenskyy himself, he can't dictate to the society, to the Ukrainian society, what he wants to do. Of course, he has to count their way also.
Let's talk a bit about these peace talks. We're seeing that they've somewhat stalled, and we haven't seen much come out of them except for the agreements to humanitarian corridors, which has now turned into some sort of a tool which Russians are using to threaten Ukrainians to surrender in the region. And Zelenskyy is calling on Putin to hold face-to-face discussions to find some sort of a solution to this crisis, but Putin isn't responding. Why do you think that is?
Well, so basically, first and foremost, there's such a horrible situation when the Russian drop hypersonic bombs on the civilian neighborhoods. Basically, when the Russian recently, they attacked the dramatic theater in Mariupol, which was a shelter for over 1,000 children and women. So basically, nobody knows what happened to them afterwards. So basically, they deliberately attack the civilian infrastructure, not the military infrastructure of Ukraine. By this, I think, in my view, Russians, they want to raise the stakes on the upcoming negotiations. So by creating the humanitarian crisis, they want to force Ukraine into submission, saying, well, if you won't give up, if you won't continue to launch any military resistance, we will slaughter your population, we will wipe out your cities. So basically, that's their strategy. And for now, that tragedy is not only about the people who are suffer the most, but also that Russians, they consider those people in southern and eastern Ukraine, as most of them are pro-Russian they are Russian speakers, and most of them, they tend to vote for pro-Russian parties in Ukraine. And those people, those cities like Kharkiv and eastern Ukraine, like Mariupol, Donbass, and so forth, they suffer the most. So it's unexplainable for me, for example, as the Russians, the Kremlin punished the people who are many are ethnic Russians, many speaks Russian, and you know that many of them tend to vote for pro-Russian parties.
Right.
So basically, but at this point, I don't see any basis for the negotiations and reconciliation. So maximum what Zelensky can achieve is some tactical ceasefire, for example, to allow the humanitarian corridors. But in general, Russians are pursuing demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine, which is unacceptable as Russian narratives are felt from the.
All right, Mykola Vorobyov, thank you so much for joining us here on the NewsHour and sharing that information with us.